This is the NewsFeed at noon.
The southern border remains a huge issue in the federal courts as Texas pushes forward for its SB4 rights. And a manhunt has begun in Idaho for 2 escapees who are considered dangerous. Plus, Lauren is tracking the rain and will let you know if your weekend will be washed out. Thank you so much for joining us in the Newsfeed at 12. I'm Isabel Price. And Sanger ISD in Denton says they're moving to a 4-day school week to help recruit and retain certified, highly qualified teachers. They say a shortened week will give the school district a competitive edge in hiring employees. The school district is currently working on a draft calendar. The day they will likely eliminate from the school week is Fridays. Students would attend a traditional 5-day week in August and September and a 4-day week for the rest of the school year. Teachers and staff would be scheduled to work 1 Friday a month. The law known as SB4 lets Texas law enforcement officers arrest people they believe entered the U.S. illegally. Wednesday's hearing came after the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals blocked enforcement of SB4. It's all a part of the ongoing battle between Texas and the Biden administration over border policy and the flow of migrants into the U.S. The administration argues immigration policy has long been handled by the federal government, while Texas maintains it has the right to prosecute criminals involving illegal entry into the U.S.
What's going on the border is nothing short of catastrophic. And, it seems like it's been going on so long. You got to remember this. It was just 4 years ago that we had the lowest illegal border crossings in 45 years.
An alleged 3-person bank robbery crew has been taken into custody. They're being called the Little Rascals. All 3 of them are under the age of 17, and the youngest is just 11 years old. As Jessica Wiley reports, their parents turned in 2 of them.
This is one of the first times I recall seeing that.
The trio, so young the FBI called them Little Rascals last Thursday, releasing photos and guessing they were between the ages of 14 and 18. Today announcing their arrests and revealing their young ages, just 16, 12, and 11 years old.
The age of the younger 2 who have been alleged to have done this, that's a bit unusual for a bank robbery.
According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the 3 boys passed a threatening note to a teller at this Wells Fargo on the North Freeway and West Road. They were believed to be armed and got away with an undisclosed amount of cash. Once the surveillance photos were released, the sheriff's office says tips started coming in. 2 of the boys' parents came forward. The 3rd boy was handled by law enforcement and recognized. The sheriff's office says they recovered a weapon and a distinctive item pictured in one of the photos. They are charged with robbery by threat.
They are entitled to have a detention hearing almost immediately.
Mike Schneider is a retired juvenile district court judge.
I was thinking either this was very low in sophistication or maybe an adult had something to do with this. So this is not an uncommon thing because kids have punishment that's less severe. It's not uncommon for adult offenders to get them to commit crimes.
Investigators will not say if the boys acted alone. Because they are minors, we are not identifying them. If the allegations are proven true, they could face probation or juvenile prison. Schneider says the goal is rehabilitation.
You would certainly want to have someone learn about these consequences before they're an adult.
Jessica Willie, ABC 13 Eyewitness.
The Boise Police Department has identified the suspected shooter and accomplice involved in a hospital inmate escape, and now a manhunt is underway. Wednesday, a warrant with a $2 million bond was issued for the arrest of Nicholas Uppenauer. 3 Idaho correctional officers were injured in the shooting at a Boise area hospital right in front of the ER. Boise police say Uppenauer helped inmate Skylar Mead escape from custody. They fled in a gray 2020 Honda Civic. The pair is considered armed and dangerous. Authorities don't know where they might be headed. A California pastor is behind bars after allegedly hiring hitmen to kill a man dating his daughter. Ludzilia Caballero spoke with people in the Riverside County neighborhood.
who do you trust?
Catherine Stevenson says she's still processing it all.
It was hard for me to believe because, he's a pastor. You don't expect that.
Adding the family mostly kept to themselves, but often had a lot of people over.
To find out that your neighbor was capable of that is just, it's sickening.
It's a crime that investigators say unfolded on October 21st of last year, one that left a car riddled with bullets and the man inside shot several times. Ryan Railsback with Riverside PD recounts what the victim initially told police.
What he said was he was driving down Grove Community Drive when a car pulled up next to him at a stop sign and gunfire erupted from it.
At that time, police say one of the rounds struck the victim's cell phone.
So he wasn't able to call for help then, and he did the next best thing and drove himself to the nearest hospital.
Evidence was gathered at the scene and robbery homicide detectives then started a follow-up investigation.
The victim had been dating a woman, and her father is the one that they found evidence or uncovered evidence that he was organizing to have the shooting occur against the boyfriend.
Police say the victim appears to be a good guy.
There's nothing about this victim that would make anyone want to shoot him or have him shot. He's a good church-going young man.
Police identified the pastor behind the plot as 47-year-old Samuel Pasillas of Victorville.
He paid almost $40,000 to these suspects for the shooting to occur.
On March 13th, police served search warrants at houses in Victorville, Long Beach, and Linwood, leading to the arrest of Pasillas and 55-year-old Juan Manuel Cebreros, who police say is one of the men he hired for the murder. As for the motive behind why Pasillas would hire hitmen in the first place,
one thing that could be possible is just the extent of this pastor's religious beliefs, where he was overprotective of his daughter.
You still have a chance to be a very, very rich person if you try your luck on tomorrow night's Powerball. We'll keep it right here and we'll tell you the jackpot amount.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
The FAA is investigating a hot air balloon accident in Rochester, Minnesota. This state traffic camera shows what happened next to a busy road. The hot air balloon was carrying 3 people when it crashed into power lines. You can see here it sparks for a few seconds before it drops to the ground and catches fire. Firefighters say they were able to put out the flames fairly easily. All 3 people on board the balloon survived with just minor injuries. First responders called it nothing short of a miracle. And there was no big winner from Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot, but all is not lost. Although there was no winning ticket for the grand prize, 27 lucky players won at least $50,000 each, and that's not bad. The Powerball's jackpot for Saturday's drawing is now an estimated $750 million. The FCC says it's investigating Amazon and other retailers for the alleged marketing and selling of wireless signal jammers. The devices are illegal to use, sell, or market in the U.S. The agency confirmed the probe but did not say which other retailers were being investigated. Amazon did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. The news of the investigation comes after NBC News reported that signal jammers were apparently available online on Amazon's marketplace. And an organization in Phoenix, Arizona dedicated to helping those in need got a huge donation on Monday. A Girl Scout troop donated nearly 2,000 boxes of cookies. Michaela Castillo has more.
A very special delivery for St. Vincent de Paul.
There's about 2,000 boxes here.
Boxes upon boxes of Girl Scout cookies from Arizona's very own Troop 3886.
I hope they get to experience happiness when eating the cookies.
From Samoas to tagalongs and, of course, Thin Mints. Each box was packaged and prepared for St. Vincent de Paul locations across the valley.
So we serve 7,000 hot meals a day, as well as thousands and thousands of pounds a week that get distributed in food boxes. So these will go in our dining rooms, out to homeless shelters.
Around 20 local businesses pitched in to buy all of these boxes, helping both the Girl Scouts and their community.
It just allows us as a small business to give back to the locals.
And for the Girl Scouts who help make it happen,
it makes me feel really, really happy. So like everyone who can't afford food can get these cookies.
Taking a live look across campus, it is a damp, cool afternoon, and Lauren's next. We'll tell you where the rain will end up and has a look across your 7-day forecast.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Welcome back. And now, Lauren, how likely is it that it'll rain all weekend?
Izzy, I want to show you that 64-degree temperature currently. That's a lot cooler than what we've seen in the spring in Texas. Cloudy skies, isolated showers across the area. That low of 50 degrees, that is significantly lower than what we've expected in spring. Looking across the board, you'll notice Fort Worth in 64, Dallas 63, out west Seymour 65, Abilene 66, a little warmer down south in Ballinger at 68. As we progress into the evening, you'll see those temperatures drop significantly. 66 6 p.m., 63 8 p.m., 60 degrees at even 60 at 10. Looking at the radar, you'll see the storms that we had experienced yesterday continuing to move east into the Atlantic Ocean. You'll see down south in Jacksonville, you may experience the heaviest of that precipitation, but nothing too severe. Up north New York, you'll see some snow flurries. Again, nothing to be alarmed about. Looking to the temperatures tomorrow, you'll see 70 degrees, a little bit warmer with some sun, 68 on Sunday, but that overcast is still going to be pretty heavy. As we move to the rest of next week, you'll see Monday at 67, Tuesday a little cooler at 62. Before we start to pick back up, Izzy, you'll notice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, low 70s, especially on Sunday, that beautiful spring 74 degrees.
Thank you so much, Lauren. An Oregon family was rescued Wednesday after being stranded on Mount Hood. Search and rescue workers brought them to safety after 24 hours. Here's Tom V. Varma.
This is the moment a family of 6 came out of a Deschutes County snowcat at the Search and Rescue Command Post along Highway 26 after being stranded on Mount Hood for almost 24 hours.
They were out there all night long. It got really cold out here overnight, and so the families, they're tired, they're cold, they're wet from the snow.
2 children, ages 9 and 11, a 19-year-old and 3 adults lost.
We initially got the call at 7:30 last night of folks that were stranded out here in the Mount Hood National Forest.
Clackamas County Deputy Ross Clemson says thanks to a member of the group pressing the SOS button on their iPhone, they got the group's exact location and then tried to find them. But
they ran into some issues on their ATVs just trying to reach the family themselves, just due to the poor conditions.
Clemson says they estimated the family hiked 8 miles and climbed an additional 3,500 feet in elevation. He says finding and reaching a group so large in a terrain full of trees and deep snow was tough.
Taking care of those down trees and trying to clear them, it's a process and it takes a long time.
Many agencies came together to help and found the family at about 6 a.m.
First and foremost, they were able to build a warming fire, check their status, make sure that they're okay, and then get them warm.
But the journey down the mountain would be a long one.
It's taken a while to get some resources, including a snowcat, out to them. But those crews were faced with some pretty treacherous conditions.
Around 7:30 p.m. Wednesday, the family made their way to government camp safe and sound. Thankfully, no one was injured.
We just hope that they can now go home and get some well-deserved rest.
If you suffer from seasonal allergies, you'll probably think your town is the worst in America. Well, that's not true unless you live in Wichita, Kansas. That's where the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America says is the worst city for people with allergies. Rounding up the top 5 are Virginia Beach, Greenville, South Carolina, and unfortunately Dallas is next, followed by our neighbors in Oklahoma City. According to the Centers for Disease and Control Prevention, more than 50 million Americans suffer from allergies. It sounded like a freight train. That's how one witness described the EF3 tornado as it passed through her neighborhood. Joining us live from Ohio with the latest is Ivan Rodriguez.
We're in downtown Lakeview in Logan County, Ohio, and behind me you can see some of the destruction left behind from this EF3 tornado. This used to be a city administrative building, next to it a library. I mean, I want to give you a bird's eye view of where we are right now. This drone footage shows that same city building. Behind it, you can see part of a neighborhood that's been leveled by this tornado. Other homes that are still standing are severely damaged. A laundromat also on this same block, you can see, has been destroyed. Now, over the course of the last couple of days, we've been able to speak with a lot of people here in the downtown area. We spoke with one woman who says she's lived here since the 60s and she's never seen anything like this before, and hear her explain what it felt like when that tornado was approaching her home.
It just sounded like a freight train was coming through outside, and there was so much noise, and it just sounded like everything was just coming apart.
Governor DeWine also came out and toured this devastation. He said he's never seen damage like this before, and nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. He also mentioned that this community will come back. At this point, a big focus as well as power restoration crews will continue working around the clock. In Logan County, Ohio, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, Ivan. The battle for the White House has both candidates grasping for every vote, each facing their own challenges. National News is next.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
The White House is touting a slew of economic wins under President Joe Biden as he seeks re-election in November. The White House released its annual economic report of the president. It's a yearly overview to Congress of the nation's economic progress, typically released shortly after the president's budget. In a letter accompanying the nearly 500-page report, Biden boasts his economic vision has brought transformational progress. And over the past few months, former President Donald Trump has racked up endorsements from high-ranking members of the GOP and some former primary opponents, but there are several big names who say they don't plan to support the nominee. Our Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook joins us from the White House with all the details.
After the first primary contest of the season, it became very clear that former President Donald Trump's hold on the Republican Party was strong. Several of his primary opponents quickly jumped in to endorse him after they dropped out of the race. But there are a few former allies refusing to back him.
Several of Donald Trump's primary opponents started campaigning for the former president quickly after they suspended their own campaigns, including businessman Vivek Ramaswamy and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
I just love you.
But not all of Trump's former opponents are falling in line. In an interview with Fox News, former Vice President Mike Pence said he cannot endorse the president he once served with.
Donald Trump is pursuing and articulating an agenda that is at odds with the conservative agenda that we governed on during our 4 years.
In a USA Today op-ed, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson made his stance clear, writing, quote, "I have not endorsed Donald Trump for president, and I will not do so." Hutchinson, who was critical of Trump on the presidential campaign trail, wrote, "Regretfully, Donald Trump has redefined the GOP in his image and has put personal ego above the common good."
8 Republican candidates have qualified and have chosen to be here.
In order to get on the debate stage last year, the Republican candidates signed an RNC pledge promising to support the eventual nominee. Trump's former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, has not made an official announcement of support, but has suggested she's no longer bound by that pledge.
I think I'll make what decision I want to make.
When Haley announced she was suspending her campaign, she called on Trump to earn the support of those who backed her instead of endorsing him. Now, both Trump and Biden are currently trying to gain the support of Haley's supporters. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Thank you so much, Julia. A major charter bus company has agreed to stop busing migrants to the New York City area until a civil lawsuit is concluded. Court records filed on show Roadrunner's charters entered into the agreement with New York. Roadrunner was one of the bus companies that took part in Governor Greg Abbott's strategy to send migrants to sanctuary cities. New York City filed a civil lawsuit against 17 bus companies in December, seeking to recoup money spent providing housing and care to migrants. The suit asked at least $708 million total from all the bus companies. In December, the New York City mayor's office said Governor Abbott confirmed he sent 33,000 asylum seekers to New York City since the spring of 2022. President Biden has canceled another $5.8 billion of student debt. This latest round of relief impacts nearly 78,000 public sector workers through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Qualifying borrowers include teachers, social workers, some nurses and doctors, and government lawyers who have made 10 years of monthly payments. Biden is sending congratulatory emails to them next week. Another 380,000 borrowers who may be eligible for relief within the next 2 years are also getting emails from Biden to keep it up. Keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
All right, I'm in the house.
Okay, what do you see?
Nothing yet. Hold on. I think I just heard something. I'm heading upstairs.
Okay, I am almost there.
I'm in the bedroom.
Okay.
Oh, shit. It's not here.
What?
The gun's not here.
What do you mean? Where is it?
Cameron, are you in there? Open the door. Come on, Cameron.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
A scandal is rocking the world of Major League Basketball. The longtime interpreter for Los Angeles Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani was fired Wednesday after being accused by Ohtani's attorneys of massive theft. Shocked fans are wondering how this alleged betrayal will impact Japan's star player as the baseball season gets underway. Hanako Montgomery reports.
This gambling scandal comes as a huge shock for Japan, where Ohtani and his translator, Mizuhara, are a dynamic duo. Ippei Mizuhara is the longtime translator and friend of Ohtani. The two have worked together since 2013, when Ohtani was still playing professional baseball in Japan. And because Ohtani trusted Mizuhara so much, he asked the translator to move with him to Los Angeles when he first made the move to Major League Baseball in 2018. But their relationship isn't just about business, it's also one of friendship. The two are always seen together. They're practically joined at the hip. That's why it's even more astonishing for fans in Japan who are concerned about how this emerging gambling scandal will affect Ohtani's performance this season, which has literally just started. And this news is all anyone is talking about in Japan, especially on social media, because Ohtani is a massive icon here. We visited his high school earlier this month, and in the school, there was Ohtani memorabilia everywhere. He is a celebrated living legend, both at home and in the United States. CNN has confirmed that Mizuhara was fired. We also know from an interview with ESPN on Tuesday, Mizuhara said that he never bet on Major League Baseball games and denied Ohtani had any involvement. But it remains to be seen how this gambling scandal will unfold and how it will affect the pair's relationship. Hanako Montgomery, CNN, Tokyo.
Thank you so much, Hanako. One senior dog has waited years to find his forever home, and his wish has finally come true. Meet Velcro, formerly known as Beluga. The 10-year-old Carolina dog mix has special needs, including being partially blind, deaf, and has mobility issues. He arrived at the Austin Pets Alive shelter in 2022 and has spent over 700 days there. Then 74-year-old Jeanette walked in and felt the dog was meant for her after spending time with him. She brought him home under foster care with the intention of adopting. While still acting like a calm old gentleman, Jeanette encourages others to not overlook special needs and senior dogs because they deserve love too. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Newsfeed. We'll see you all next week. Have a great week and great news.